have to let it go. 3, 2, 1. Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 27 of the Showerpodcast, the podcast where I'm in my shower and you do you. I'm your host, Chip, and this exact intro you've also listened in the previous episode. And this was because I was initially going to talk about the topic of today, letting things go. But I changed my mind because indeed my experience on the slopes was, let's say, much more exciting, and mostly I had more drive to do that. So that might happen, but in general, let's say that I'll try my best to stick to the topic that I had in mind. So letting things go. There's always a reason. So let's say you'll be able to understand why I want to talk about this. I'm not just crazy and invent topics, but in general I'll try to find stuff that, let's say, gets me thinking during the day, or things that I had in the back of my mind, and try to express them at my best in these short episodes. So the backstory in this case was I was decluttering some of the photos and videos that I had in my cloud storage, and I had to go through, let's say, you can filter and you can put the biggest files that you have in there. And one of these was a video that's very dear to me, and it was of my first cat that was just a baby. It was very, very small. It was a foster cat, and she was really the sweetest, like absolutely the most. She was never loud, never misbehaved. I have to say, like, really unique. And her name was Stella. And I had this video where she was playing with a ping pong ball around my room when I was in Rome. And it wasn't the first time that I found that video, because I've decluttered also in the past. And it always got me smiling, and I always, let's say, put me in a good mood when I saw that video. But this time I had a bit of a moment, let's say, not of realization, but in general, it got me thinking a bit more, because down the line and looking forward, there will always be new memories, and there are always going to be new things that will be part of my memory of my life. And it got me thinking, is it sustainable to continue adding and adding and adding and adding stuff to that library? Or should I learn to let things go? In general, I have to admit, both for, say, personal reasons and experiences, but in general, because of how I am, it's not so easy for me to let things go. I have learned a bit the hard way, let's say, in the sense that in many occasions during my life, I always gave situations a second chance. I've always chased more than once stuff that on paper were over, and be it with people, with situations, with experiences, a bit of everywhere. I'm not the kind of person that is able to just say, okay, next. And that it's not by itself a great I mean, it can be a very good thing, because in many situations this helped me and indeed got me, let's say, the thing that I was chasing and that I thought was worth. But in others, let's say, for sure it did not help. So again, it got me thinking, and I ended up deleting that video. And the reason is that the feeling that I have and the memory that I have, be it temporary, so even though it's something that, now I say with all clear in mind that, I remember perfectly that video and I know how it made me feel. But at the same time, if in the future I might not remember exactly, I will for sure remember, let's say, her story and what connected me to her. And the next step that I would like to, not necessarily right now, because due to the fact that I relatively recently, but I moved into a whole new country and I didn't have the possibility of bringing everything with me, fortunately, and I have to add that. I will, let's say, I will look forward to let and looking forward, keep the objects the time that I need them. So I don't want to necessarily, skip through things or just throw them away as soon as I have used them. That is not the case, because I do see value in general for these kind of things. But at the same time, I want to get better. And I also, let's say, want to encourage you to have a look. So be it clothes, objects, situations, people, if something is not really there, and I maybe for objects, I stick by the rule of when was the last time in 30 days you've used it or even thought about it, If when you find something, you're like, oh, there it was, maybe it's time to let it go. And I always wonder, at least to me, I have a bit of an idea of why we do this. And it is, let's say, a place of safety, because you know that in that moment, you don't need that object. You don't need to use it. You don't use it on a regular basis, because then it's not even a question. But you know that if that moment comes, you'll be able to resort to that. And the thought of what if something happens and I don't have it makes you uncomfortable, then maybe you should, let's say, again, my take, but change a bit the approach, because there is always a solution, for things like this. And if it means buying it in that moment, it is much better, let's say, for your mind, and not having to constantly think back on the things that you're not using. And I'd like to close also on this bit where there is also the situation where if you keep on, let's say, keeping stuff and not actively use that stuff, there is also going to be a lingering feeling of, am I doing my best to leverage all the things that I have? Am I, let's say, should I rethink also the things that I'm using right now in, instead of something old and something that you're keeping away? And that, again, I don't think it's something that, let's say, lets us enjoy the moment and the present. And at the end, that's all that matters. We are all either stuck in the past or looking forward, but very few of us, and me included, I try to do my best, but I'm not perfect for sure. I've gotten better. I would like to throw that out there, but I've gotten definitely better. And I'm really trying my best to enjoy the moment. And being this, the podcast, every day I think of it and I do the best that I can to provide it. First of all, to me, again, it's something that for now has been amazing. It's inconvenient, but in a sense of, turns out you have to do stuff in life to make it happen. And the behavior, of doing this really is, it's helping me there. And so I'm trying to identify also other stuff that could be, let's say, hindering my presence, my presence in the present. And I think this is one of it. So get rid of it if you're not using it. And if you're thinking you'll need it, think twice, because maybe you won't. This was episode 27 of the Shower Podcast. Thank you for listening. As always, feel free to comment, like, subscribe, and see you at the next one.